Recording. Okay. Hey, good evening, everybody. Keith KL Belvin here, and it must be Friday night. Welcome to another episode of Unapologetically Keith every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 to 11. Shout out to Tiffany Braxton Belvin, who set the times on the show. 9:30 to 11. And every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. On Wednesday, you have me all to yourself. But on Friday, as you know, I am joined by my lovely co-host, my lovely wife. And here on Unapologetically Keith, we deal with a little bit of everything. We try to discuss various topics that can address you as a single person, a person in a relationship, a mother, father, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. If you are a person, the things that we discuss will affect you in some way or touch you in some way. And we hope that we can make it fun, educational, and entertaining for the hour and a half. Yes, I'm going to keep stressing that because I know some of you are like, let's go to 1 o'clock. No, we're not doing that. In time, we'll do that when we get more sponsors, when they pay us to stay up. So, but this is what we do. So welcome to all of you watching. If you are watching in the group, but you want to come join us here in the Zoom room, shout out to Kim, who's in there holding it down by herself. Somebody will come and join you, Kim. You can always just register. Click the link. I put it in the very first post on the stream there. Just click it. Not as Kim. I think that's the other. We have a bunch of Kims. But what it is that just click it, register. And then when you register, it's going to send you an email. That link in the email, it will be the forever link. We're not changing that. All you got to do is register one time. And that is so I can keep out the weirdos, the strangers, or folks who just the looky-loos who want to come and go, what y'all talking about? Nah, you want to come and join us. Stop playing. So this is what we do. We are live in the Facebook group, as I said. And so if you do not want to come in, but you just want to hang out in the Facebook group and watch the show, you can. But as I said earlier, I may not be able to get to all of the comments. I'm going to try to man the comments from my cell phone to see what's going on. So I see Keisha is in. Happy New Year, Keisha. I see she's in the group. So I'm going to again try to keep an eye on what's going on so we can kind of keep this conversation going in two places.
Is that Keisha Robinson or Keisha Green?
That is LaKeisha Robinson. So we are talking about imposter syndrome. Now, actually, I was going to print that out, but actually I don't have to. I can do both. So Tiff asked the question, what is imposter syndrome? And I wanted to make sure that I have, all of you have an understanding is, so I'm going to talk about I'm going to give you the clinical definition of imposter syndrome. And I'm going to discuss what are the symptoms. And then I have 5 different types of imposter syndrome. And again, you will notice that I think at various times in our lives, we have all suffered from this, especially in today's society where we put a lot of undue pressure on ourselves because of social media and the keeping up with the Joneses. We've been trying to keep up with the Joneses for years, and I don't even know who the Joneses are. I ain't trying to keep up with the Joneses, the Jacksons, the Harrises. I know nobody. I'm having an hard enough time trying to keep up with the Belvins, but it is what it is. Okay. So what is imposter syndrome? All right, let me just make sure I got my camera here. Let me move this over a little bit. There we go. All right. Oh, let me minimize this just a little bit. I'm trying to work 2 different screens on an old computer. Way to go, baby. Okay, here we go. All right. Imposter syndrome is or describes feelings of severe inadequacy and self-doubt that can leave people fearing that they will be exposed as a fraud, usually in their work lives. It can affect anyone regardless of their success. A number of high-achieving people, including Michelle Obama, Kate Winslet, and Emma Watson, have spoken out about their experiences with imposter syndromes in various interviews. Now, what are the symptoms? Imposter syndrome is not officially recognized as a psychiatric disorder. Now, that's interesting. I'm going to tell you why as a person who deals with mental health and a person who counsels. That means you cannot bill somebody. Like, I can't put in that I'm billing because I'm dealing with imposter syndrome. All right? Or it's not a psychiatric disorder. So it's not recognized as a disorder because so many things are connected to it and so many things trigger it. So insurance companies aren't going to pay for that. Now, as a private person, like if I have a private pay person, I can add that to my notes that I think the person has imposter syndrome, which is fine, but I can't bill for that. That's why when you see something that says it's not recognized as a psychiatric disorder, it is because insurance companies want to cover themselves, but they clearly know that it is something that people suffer from in various capacities. And that's why I'm going to give you the 5 types in a second. But researchers suggest that there are some common symptoms, which include high levels of anxiety, which you can bill for, doubting one's achievement. Doubting is something that, and doubting one's achievement, frustrating, and low self-esteem. All of those things you can bill for. So because you can bill for those things individually, they do not allow you to lump it all into one situation. So let me just say that again. Here are the symptoms. Anxiety, which I think we all suffer from. Doubting one's achievements, which I think we all suffer from at one point or another in our lives. Frustration. If you tell me that you've never been frustrated, I will call you a liar to your face. Low self-esteem. And again, I think we all at different times suffer from low self-esteem. It happens. And then now you'll see why I was saying that in this time and era of social media, a lot of times what we absorb in from social media can make us or trigger these feelings and these emotions, which then can create the imposter syndrome. Now, we often deal with this at work because often we will measure ourselves against our colleagues. We will measure ourselves against other people that we work with. We will measure ourselves against our friends, especially when it comes to business or the money that we have in our pocket. And with social media, we literally now have started to measure ourselves against people we have never met. Simply because we see them on social media and go, oh my God, she lives or she comes from where I come from and she's doing so well. How come I'm not? I must be a failure. When in actuality, go ahead, baby.
I wanted to ask you because because a lot of what you mentioned, I actually see in myself, especially, and we have discussed as far as in my career with human resource and being in human resource administration and a supervisor. But I wanted to ask you, when I hear the term imposter, I always think of someone putting on a facade or posing as someone else. Why is it that they use the term imposter?
Because you're not being the real you based on things that you're bringing in. Like, since you brought you to the table, how many times do I got to point out your talents? But you are downplaying your talents for what reason? Whether it's anxiety, whether it's frustration, low self-esteem, doubting one's achievements, whatever it is. So you're not being the real you. Well, what's an imposter? Not the real thing. Okay. See, an imposter is when we watch Mission Impossible, who we thought it was, and then at the end, oh no, it was really the black guy in a white face, but we couldn't see the skin and all that, whatever. And I'm talking about the original Mission Impossible, not Ethan Hawke. We're talking about when the brother was on the show. But okay. So the reason why it's called imposter syndrome, because often we are measuring ourselves up against things that we then stop being ourselves, that create this facade. And when you see somebody like, let's take a Michelle Obama, right? Who we kind of know a little bit better, say, than Kate Winslet and Emma Watson. You would go, what does Michelle Obama have to, how would she suffer from imposter syndrome when she's, quote unquote, the most intelligent first lady that's ever lived, one of the most beautiful first ladies that ever lived. She did a thing in Chicago. She's a was it Stanford graduate? Is it Stanford? Was it Stanford?
I'm not sure.
Was she Harvard too with Obama? Because I know Obama was Harvard. I wasn't sure. Okay, Harvard graduate. So why is at times she's still having doubts? Well, when you've heard her in interviews, she worried about measuring up to the other first ladies. She worried about measuring up as a mom. She worried about measuring up as a professional. She talked about at times when she was in college, she had issues sometimes measuring up, being the only Black person trying to do the things that she needed to do, because it is almost natural for us to have doubt. It is natural to have doubt. But when doubt becomes so paralyzing because you're feeding it from sources that really you shouldn't, which is something I tell you all the time, is that you're downplaying your talent because of the people around you's idiocy. Their ignorance is causing you to just, when actually it should spring you forward with, okay, I'm going to deal with y'all simply because I'm on the road to here. This is just a stop off in between, but you're getting caught up in what's going on around you on this journey. And I remember when I read the gentleman that Stuart Scott, the one that was on ESPN that died of cancer. Stuart Scott, when he took a job in Virginia as a cameraman, he was frustrated because they didn't have a lot of equipment. He used to have to go out and take one camera and try to do different things. And he remember calling his sister. Now, his father was very big on them being successful, pushed them to be, all his brothers and sisters were of quality, did the things they had to do. He said he called his sister very frustrated because he was like, I hate this. I got to work 3 times as hard. The white guys are getting over, da, 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 da. And I got to try to create the things I got to create. And his sister said, shut up. What are you complaining about? And then he also complained about the amount of money he was making. She said, shut up. What you complaining about? And in his book, he says, I was shocked at my sister's response because she was always the one that had my back. She was always the one that got me. So I was kind of wondering, like, what are you talking about? She said, that's not your final stop. You're just getting started. Take the money, do what you got to do, and understand that you're not going to be there that long. If anything, the more uncomfortable it is, the faster you're going to get your ass up out of there. He said, in listening to my sister, I heard my father's voice all over again. And from that day again, I never complained. I just outworked everybody on this rinky-tink position because I knew I was going other places. So that's how he dealt with his imposter syndrome, because he was allowing his frustration to downplay his full talents. When we start to allow the things around us to create a way that we start to block our blessings because we don't be what God created us to be, or we don't become what God has created us to be, then we are actually being imposters to who we really are. And often people then create whole scenarios, myself included, because then the fear of success can also create a problem. So some people will get to a certain point and stop right there, because the idea of going further scares them because they want to deal with the devil that they know instead of the devil that they don't know, myself included. I could have been a principal multiple times over if that was the direction that I wanted to go in. I didn't want to, and I still don't. But I didn't see the other side of the coin, that if I had studied and got my supervisory license, then there's other things I could have did that the license would have opened up the door. But because it wasn't something that I wanted to do, I didn't do extended research into it. Then when I got the degree that I got, which is a degree in curriculum writing, assessment, and teaching, I didn't realize that folks that don't look like me were going to hold that door with 2 feet, dumbbells, their cars, whatever else, to get me to come through, because they did not want curriculum change, because curriculum is where the money is at. Well, I knew that's where the money reside, Anyway, I'm saying, but I knew that's where the money was at. I just didn't know they wasn't going to give up none. I thought I could siphon off a little bit. Nah, brother, you ain't getting through these doors. So the degree allowed me to do some things, but not as much as I thought. Hindsight is 2020. Now, when I fast forward to the future, if I had been uncomfortable then, I could have been a little more comfortable now in other areas. So you got to understand is that we all suffer from various forms of it. And I'm going to get into the different types. Does that answer your question, Tiff, or does that make sense?
No, it definitely makes sense. And I guess when I listen to the various ones that you are going to speak about, I can possibly choose which one I fall into. Because like I said, I realize sometimes I am blocking my own blessing because of my insecurities of where I am. So, yeah.
Well, I think you just said something very big, is insecurities. And you have to look at what are you insecure about and deal with that. Because like anything else, and one of the things that I do as a counselor, I have to point out to you where I think the flaws are. And I have to be able to hold the mirror up to say, okay, I heard what you said, but let me show you what I see. Because often we can't get out our own way because we're the cause of our very own pain. So the reason why counseling works is because a counselor then does not have the same emotion that you have and can go, okay, I hear what you're saying and I understand the pain, but did you look at this? And then once we acknowledge it, okay, let's grab that. Now let's figure out a way to either to purge it or to enhance it. So right. Yeah, so that's one of the things. Michelle, you want to add anything before I move on, though?
Well, not to that particular um, imposter syndrome, I know that you had mentioned before that there's a lot of people who um, measure their success like a parent. I've often wondered whether or not I was a good enough parent to my girls
Mm,
because I basically raised them without a father.
mm,
My father is the one who more or less was the father figure.
gotcha.
So is that you know so I can identify with that type of imposter syndrome because I never felt that I was good enough. My kids were with my parents more
Mm,
than they were with me,
mm-hmm.
because I had to work. I
Gotcha.
had to work to take care of them,
Gotcha. And
so
that is part of it.
that was
Because go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. I'm good.
No, no, no. You were finished. I thought you were done. I'm sorry. I had jumped in. I thought you were done talking. Go right ahead.
Oh, no, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. No, I was saying that is a form of imposter syndrome because again, it's also known as imposter phenomena, imposterism, fraud syndrome, or just imposter experience. It's a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persisting internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Now, I said mostly at work, but it is in your private life too. If you believe that you were a fraud as a parent when you actually weren't, well, that's a form of imposter syndrome because you're like, but I had to work and I was doing whatever, and you're not looking at your accomplishments, which is something that I notice often when I'm dealing with people that I have to sometimes, myself included, because this is why I have somebody I talk to from Italy every 5 or 6 weeks, and he'll say, Keith, you got to take a couple minutes just to look at what you've been able to do in X amount of time. But because I'm so focused on what I'm trying to become, I don't take the time out to go, well, let me see what I'm doing here or whatever. I don't do that. And now I do that more the last 2 years where I'm like, hey, look, I got degrees on the wall, and it's not being arrogant. It's to remind me I earned those. And now let me do something with that. I have a company. Now I have two. Let me do that. Tiff and I have put some books together. Let's talk about that because I have to get folks to understand that when I'm saying pay me for what I'm doing for you, I need to be able to let you know in a non-arrogant way that you're getting something of quality. You can't do that if you're scared to be you. You can't get to the higher levels if you're scared to let go of the level that you're on. It's like, let's learn how to swim, but I don't want to jump in the water. But I want to learn how to swim, but jump in the water. No, no, no. But I want to learn how to swim, jump in the water. No, 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 no. It don't work. At some point, either stop saying you want to learn how to swim or jump in the damn water. Now, you can ease in, put your toe in, but at some point you got to get off of the side and get into water if you're going to swim. It could be gradually,
Mhm.
or it could just be all at one time. But again, whatever it's going to be, it still has to be in a way that you're moving forward toward the goal and away from the thing that's holding you into place. T to the Y about to pop in. There we go. And so it's very important because many of us don't understand what is holding us in place. T to the Y, what's going on, sir? Many of us don't understand that imposter syndrome is what is paralyzing us because we've started to make it okay or we give ourselves excuses. My boss ain't crap. That's why I can't move forward. My kids, if they would have just listened, I could have been whatever. Well, you know what? That school I went to, the professors all suck. So my GPA was low because they was all racist. Whatever excuse that you come up with,
Mhm.
if you're stuck where you are and scared to move forward and you really acknowledge it, and again, remember, an individual who doubts their skills, who doubts their talents, accomplishments, or has a persistent internal fear of being exposed as a fraud. See, often we don't realize that we're worried. How many times have you heard somebody say, they're going to realize I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't want them to think I don't know what I'm doing? But they
The
hired you.
funny, the funny thing
Mhm.
is, I don't have a problem with telling people I don't know something. I've never had a problem saying, you know what, I just don't know the answer to that. Let me get back to you. I'll find out. But what I do have an issue with, and we have discussed this in the past, is doubting my skills.
Well, there you go.
And over time, I'm getting better, but I do find that even now, in the position that I'm in now, I've going on 2 years as an HR supervisor, but initially I wasn't even going to apply for the job again because I doubted if I would be able to do the job. Although I had the talent to be able to do it, it took someone else saying, Tiffany, you could do this job, because someone actually brought the job to me and said, I think you should apply for this. And I wasn't going to. And I said, you know what? I applied because I said, if I don't apply, I don't want to disappoint her if she asks, did you apply for the position? So I did apply. I got the interview. And then the very next day I was offered the job. And then even being offered the job, I was still saying, can I do this?
Which you suffer with, but go ahead.
Yeah. But even as I'm doing the job, and like, as I said, I'm going on 2 years doing it, I'm still going through, can I continue to do this?
Do you know why? Do you know why you're still suffering through it 2 years apart?
Why?
Because of how you went into it from the beginning. Let me do this because I don't want to disappoint so-and-so. And it wasn't me. I know who told you to take the job. Because when we attach, it's like when you start a relationship on a lie. When you start a relationship on a lie, eventually what you don't have in place is going to show itself, and the relationship is going to start to teeter, maybe even crumble. Because you started off with, I'm going to do it because I don't want my friend to be disappointed. Okay, that got you through the door. But what you were supposed to do once you got through the door is, y'all done effed up now. Or you should have never called me the next day. Super Negro is in the house now. Y'all gonna have a whole lot of problems trying to deal with me because I'm here now, because however you got through the door, but you do some of that. But I still know that you don't do it completely because, of course, as your husband, I get to listen to the things you actually bring home. And that lets me know that you're not where you should be, because those things you bring home really are inconsequential to where you should be looking, which is further down the road.
I just think I know I have it pretty bad, because even 2 weeks ago, my supervisor and we went over my annual review, and my annual review was excellent. I was looking at it like, wow, who he talking about?
Who's that?
So it's just funny. So I know I have it bad, because obviously he's talking about me because he sees my performance, but I'm looking at it like, wow, he's talking about me. Mm-hmm. And I just don't see it. So I guess it's really crazy.
Well, it's not crazy. This is just who we are, and this is what we deal with. The key is just getting it under control by offsetting it with, okay, now you know, what do you do? Because it's like if a doctor says, I'm sorry, ma'am, you have cancer. Okay, and like the commercial, like I like the commercial when it says you have, and the woman is like, and her whole life is flashing through her. Then at the end of the commercial, okay, what do we do now? Like, okay, I went through all that. What's the action? What's the plan? Because really what it is what you do from today. That's mindfulness therapy, which is one of the things that I teach. What are we doing today that is going to now prepare us going forward? What do you hear me say to you all the time? What's your one thing? And your one thing should guide you to whatever it is, and everything that you're doing around you should be funneling into your one thing, because then now that energy is what's going to propel you forward. Often we attach ourselves to so many things. Michelle said it earlier when she said, I was spending so much time at work, and my parents had the kids, but she was spending a lot of time at work because that was keeping her from going home to an abusive situation. So it became a cycle, like a hamster on a wheel, that you just keep turning and you just keep running. But the thing that's changing is time keeps going on, and time just keeps happening through. At some point, you have to get off the hamster's wheel and say, this has been working to this point. Hey, Tony, Happy New Year. this has been working to this point. I now have to go, but it's not getting me to where I need to go. See, again, and again, you guys are just tuned in. T to the Y, Tony, welcome. Happy New Year. We are talking about imposter syndrome here on the Unapologetically Keith Show. And as Tiff has just divulged, and she told us about her experiences with imposter syndrome, what I want to do real quickly is give you guys a definition of imposter syndrome, because it is something that we just talked about. Where's my other little sheet here that I want to read off what I was going through? But the definition of imposter syndrome is, hold on, there we go. Oh, hold on a second. All right, I'll minimize this. A definition of imposter syndrome, also known as imposter phenomena, imposterism, fraud syndrome. It is also known as imposter experience. It is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. And so again, what happens is we get nervous, we get scared that people are going to see that we should not be here, we shouldn't do this, we're scared to say something or whatever else the situation is. And as I mentioned before, Michelle Obama, Kate Winslet, Emma Watson have all spoken about this experience in other interviews. And what are the symptoms? Imposter syndrome is not an official recognized psychiatric disorder, but researchers suggest they are most common symptoms, which include high levels of anxiety, doubting one's achievements, frustration, and low self-esteem. And like I said earlier, I believe that we all at some point have gone through that. So before I go forward, because I'm gonna get into the 5 types in a little bit. T to the Y, or Tony, if you want to add anything, by all means, jump right in. I would love to hear from you guys, of course, always.
Yeah, sure. As far this is new to me, with imposter syndrome,
Really?
getting it somewhat, but the thing is, I'm trying to encapsulate is that depending on the person, it can lead to arrogance. Let's say if you're checking or correcting the behavior and the person not only don't get it, but don't want to get it, I think that's when things could get kind of convoluted. But I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
It can, when you say the person that's suffering from it or the person with it, when you mean, when you're bringing it up to the person that's suffering from it, or are you as the person with it when dealing with somebody else? I want to make sure you're clear so I know how to respond to it.
The person that's suffering from it.
The person that's suffering from it when dealing with somebody else.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because what happens is you want to defend yourself. Nobody wants to be embarrassed. Nobody wants to be seen as a fraud. So what happens is you will notice that certain people that you have worked with, yourself included, if you've gone through it at different times, you become defensive or you become retaliatory. And yes, arrogant can show itself too, because remember, you're trying to keep yourself from being exposed for whatever it is that you're suffering from. So think about it. A person who's suffering from imposter syndrome may not go to a staff party. Not that they don't enjoy parties, because they don't want to be exposed that for whatever reason. Maybe because they can't dance, or maybe because they don't really have, they don't think that their clothes are on par with the other people that they work with, or maybe because they're heavy. So it's like, I don't, I got to do the job, but I don't want to hang out, or whatever. Maybe it's because they're not going to like me because I'm Black, or whatever it is. A lot of times we will dilute ourselves to try to stick with whatever the framework is inside our head. So arrogance does come in, because then I will overinflate who I am, what I've done, because I've never actually stopped and considered my own accomplishments. Sometimes our accomplishments are what they are, might only be a little bit, but we will inflate them so everybody in the room will think that I am the man. We see that with Donald Trump. Literally will say things in a room of intelligent people where they kind of look at each other and go, this nigga here, did you hear what he just said? Yo, he said put bleach. He said, can we inject bleach? And you can tell by the eyes of the people watching, like, did this nigga just say bleach? Then he said, can we put the light up in there? And they were like, light, where? What is he talking about? But they were like, and you see it all the time. Or like when he was like, it's big. And, we have a lot of planes. And they were like, did he just do he? And if you watch other people, they don't want to say that because he's the president and he's vindictive. And he's vindictive, which goes to what you're saying, Ty, about arrogance. He's arrogant and vindictive because it's the way he protects himself from being seen as a small man. So then what happens in turn? We see him for how small he is because what he's saying don't make sense. And after a while, you go, like Cat Williams said, do he know we can see him? So it's like, and then what you realize, it also shows you that power causes people to act a certain way because one, they don't want to give it up. And two, because it exposes them. See, if I have the power to make somebody beat you up, say something about my size, take care of my man. So what you think happens to the next person behind you? You have something to say about my size? Nah, Slim, that's what, you looking good, Slim. Okay, just checking. Just checking. Because I got two cats behind you like, no. So then the arrogance in me, what? Swells. So after a while, I want you to believe that all this is about me. It's because of the power of the position. Now, I'm going to bring it closer to home. All of us have worked with supervisors that we have all wondered, how the hell did you get the job?
Oh, yeah.
Who did you hump? Whose cousin are you? How did you become the supervisor? Who then they'll come to you, who you do the job better than they ever thought about doing it, and try to tell you how to do the job, and you go. And then when you literally try to bring it up, they try to downplay you, insult you, make you look stupid. And if you're gifted, like my wife is at times, you turn the table so when the light comes on, you looking dumb. But the problem is because they're the boss, they have the power of firing you or pushing you into a corner, whereas if you do it again, are you willing to lose your job? So the power allows them to surround themselves in their imposter bubble and not get called on it because no one's been able to get above them. And 9 out of 10 times, the person above them just looks at the numbers, things are where it's supposed to be. And how do we know that? When we watch My Boss, or what is that, My Secret Boss or whatever. And we see that owners who have started companies go down to the lower levels and go, my God, I never knew it was like this. Because they had people in places that never brought it back up the ladder to go, we've been down here whipping people like slaves for years, bro. How you think you live in the way you live in? So it's important as whatever position that you're in, that you understand where that is in your life. Tony, you want to add anything, Doc?
Yeah, I can relate a little bit. I see a lot of this on social media a lot. But my problem is I'm kind of like in a way to where I can relate to an opposite side for me personally. I have a fear of feeling that I'm not perfect, or I'm not, well, not perfect, but I'm not good enough, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'm a type of person to where I have so much material that I can actually get on live, want to do live, but I deal still with, and being honest, a lot of low self-esteem.
Okay.
And so my thing is that, and I made a vow, which is one of my New Year's commitments. I don't say resolutions, a commitment to myself. And for me to be a help to others, I have so much material and so much inside of me that I can give to people that I'm holding back. I feel that I'm not good enough. And so I made a vow to myself that this year, and I'm not going to hold back, that I'm going to get out there and just be me. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So that's where I'm at right now. That's where I've been. And I've been dealing with this. So this is good. I didn't know you was going to talk about this. I didn't see what you was talking about, but it's good that I jumped in because I'm telling you, I really appreciate you and Tiffany, because you guys have really helped me since the time that I've been knowing y'all.
Thank you.
Just through social media. Y'all way over yonder. And y'all are such a blessing. Michelle and everybody that jump on, I just really appreciate this. I really do.
Thank you. Well, this is what we do. And that was the reason why when I decided to create the group and do it, one of the things my business coach challenged me was anything that you're thinking about doing, one, do it, pull the trigger. But then he also said, ask yourself, is it something that you can do on a regular? Don't invite people in and then you're not going to be consistent for them. It's unfair to them. And I had played and I had told, like I said, I've suffered from this myself, because I should do this, I shouldn't. And I'm like, no, my fear was of success, not failure. Failure doesn't scare me at all. I was actually fearful of success. So I would get to certain levels and just get comfortable, put my feet up and go, I'm good. Instead of doing a little bit extra to get a little bit more, because then it meant dealing with new devils. And I wasn't sure if I really wanted to do it. Not that I couldn't, I wasn't sure if I wanted to. Where I started to convince myself I did not want to. But then I would look at some of the work that they were doing and go, oh, that sucks. Who's letting them do this? You, Keith, because you're not up there competing against them. And I realized so. Closed mouth doesn't get fed, and I had to push that. The one thing I do want to tell you, Tony, is the work that you put in online and the things that you do, you got to stop and just say, I wrote a book and I'm out here doing my lives and I'm out here doing the stuff I'm putting on YouTube. All of you have done things that if you just stop and go, do you know somebody who ain't doing crap? Yes. So you got one up on them. Right now, it is somebody that you went to school with that you like, you out there can't let that bottle go. Not that we celebrating or cheering the fact that somebody drunk or whatever. But there's somebody who's on a lesser level than us that ain't even doing half. And Tony, the reason why I always bring up you, Michelle, and Barbara is simply because you shared your stories with me. But just what you've overcome to be here. Do you know how many men or women would have folded up and just took their lives and said, no, with everything that happened? And we know that happens. So those are the things that we have to. And then for those of us who are people of faith, you can't then say, I believe in God, and then go, I'm nervous, what's going to happen to me? Wait a minute, how'd that work? Do you have faith or don't you? Because if you have faith, fine. And stop using that stupid Steve Harvey line that drives me crazy, that I want to slap him and that gigantic bushy porn mustache of his. Don't trip. God ain't through with me yet. Shut up. God is through with you. He gave you everything that you needed. Now, if you chose to do something different, that's on you. Stop trying to make excuses for you to try to do the things you want to do, then tell God, I'm working on it, but I'm still trying to hold, but I'm working on it, but I love the coochie, but I'm working on it. Shut up. Been married 4 goddamn times talking about you're going to tell people how to do it. Which is it? And the minute that somebody you think people are closing in the call on, don't trip. God ain't through with me yet. I'm getting there. Shut up. Because then that foolishness leads other people to think that it's okay to have 1 foot in the world, 1 foot in the Bible, and then the atheists sit back and go, you see these niggas here? That's why I ain't going to church. Look at this foolishness here. That nigga was at the bar with me last night. Man, that nigga was at the hotel last night. He was in the next room, and he in church talking about I should come there. Why? With what they charging with that plate going around. And we make it okay because of the behaviors that we have in church, because then people who are not connected to the church go, that is the most fraudulent thing that I've ever been for. And the one thing I always want to point out is that most atheists, when you listen to them, they used to be church folk. We failed them, drove them into being atheists. You got atheists out here who quote scripture better than the Christians. And then say, it's fraudulent because this. And what they're really saying is the people that I was supposed to love and teach me failed me. So why should I believe it? That's the imposter syndrome at its best. When things that we look at, we don't want to expose ourselves to it completely. We create a world that works for us, a level that works for us. But if you love somebody, even if it's with your last breath, push them to a better level. Because when they get there, they're going to help more people. They're going to help themselves. This is what you're supposed to do. We just don't do it. That's why we make entertainers, athletes, spokesmen. Why? Some of these Negroes didn't even finish school. You had one NBA player who was out here fighting that the world was flat. Negro, you need to have your ass whipped for even getting on television and saying the world is flat. What? Negro, you honestly, at 20-something years old, think the world is flat? And then he said, I got caught up in YouTube. They had me believing the world was flat. No, you stupid. Tell the truth. You stupid. If you even look at the way the sun goes down, you can see that there's a curve there. And where would the water go if it's flat, stupid? So sometimes you got to look and just be like, why are these people put out in front of us? Because we're the stupid ones. Because we're actually listening to this foolishness.
Yeah.
Because they're there and we're too scared to take that spot. But secretly, oh, we cursing them out. Beyonce ain't, yeah, I could dance better than that. You in your room. Here's the problem. Beyonce said, I became Sasha Fierce to walk on a stage. And when she walked on that stage, I don't care if you want to say Sasha Fierce, part of the Illuminati, whatever, that's fine. But she said, I became that character to get over my fear so I could get on stage. Well, some $1 billion later, she's now giving out money for other people who can't go to school, feeding other people who can't eat, and has changed the way the world sees her and her music. And so if she needed to create an alternative ego to deal with her imposter syndrome, which she talks about, actually I wrote the educational piece for her book and Alicia Keys. And so it's very important that we look at that. Now, it's not a matter of what you believe in, your faith or whatever. My faith is not being shaken by that. It's the idea. Jay-Z said the fact that people called me ugly motivated me. He said, that's cool, but I'm going to make it that you're going to have to deal with me. And he took that into the booth. And one of the best lines ever uttered in hip hop music, rock with me, Ty. Black is ugly as ever, but however, I stay Gucci down to the socks. Thank you. Biggie told you up front, I'm ugly, but I'm piping your moms, your girlfriend, and your sisters digging me too, because I know I'm talented. So what happens? The very woman that I just talked about, and Beyonce said, I was in the studio with Jay-Z watching him work. She said, I never seen somebody that talented do what he do. Okay, let's freeze that a second. Baddest chick in the room says, I've never watched a man work like that. But then we hear all of the producers, from Timberland to Swiss Beats, Rick Rubin, the Neptunes, say, I've never seen a dude walk into a studio and do the things that he do. He does it in one take, sometimes without even writing something down. He listens to the music, nods his head and goes, okay, I'll be right back. Turn it on. One take, he gives you a hit. You can't do that if you're fearful of what you already have. And when you can, and I say this all the time, take fear off the table. You hear this question asked in a lot of business circles. Take fear off the table. What are you capable of? Take fear off the table. What could you do? Take fear off the table. What power does your boss really have? You gonna do what? Fire who? You wanna sign it today? Tiff can tell you. You know how arrogant I was when I was teaching? To speak to your point, Ty, I was arrogant because I knew what I was doing, but I was arrogant also because I had no fears. Because I'll clean crap if they give me gloves. So I'm not worried about my family eating. And I'm not going to worry so much about a job that you make me start to become somebody I ain't. I do a good enough job at that by myself. So the idea, back to what we're talking about, imposter syndrome, it is a matter of dealing with what you are. Now, I want to give you something. I'm going to go through the list real quick. Yes, Tiff, I know you said 11 o'clock. We might go a little longer. Anyway, look at Tiff gave me the side eye. So Tony said about being a perfectionist. How did she know that was number one on my list? So number one, these are the 5 types of imposter syndrome definitions. I want you to see where you find yourself in them. First one, perfectionist. The perfectionist and imposter syndrome often go hand in hand. Think about it. Perfectionists set excessively high goals for themselves, and when they fail to reach those goals, they experience major self-doubt and worry about measuring up. Whether they realize it or not, this group can also be control freaks, feeling like they want something done right, they have to do it themselves. Not sure if this applies to you? Ask yourself these questions. Have you ever been accused of being a micromanager? Do you have difficulty delegating, even when you are unable to do so, feeling infuriated or disappointed in the results? When you miss the insanely high mark or something, do you accuse yourself of not being cut out for the job that you were going after? And do you feel like your work must be 100% perfect and 100% on time? That's the perfectionist. And often, again, it's because we create the very world that we need to keep us at failing. We create the very traps that we need to blow up on us to go, see, that's why I told you I couldn't do that. Tiff, how many times have I told you about writing your book? What do you say? I need it perfect. I need the moon and the sun to align in a certain way and my hair to the right to be able to write the book the right way. But yet people that we know who are not as smart as you be on book number 6, 7, 8, and 9, and then we read something and go, who wrote this?
And you know that frustrates me, right? Because one thing I do know is that I'm a great writer. And it frustrates me that I have not settled down.
Are you?
I am.
Are you a great writer?
That I know.
Based
that I
what?
know.
So based on what? You ain't wrote no damn books.
I've contributed to books. I've also wrote an article for a major magazine. So
right there,
yeah,
right?
Exactly, right behind you. Yeah.
Ebony, right? Ebony magazine, right? Ebony magazine, right? You wrote that, right? For Ebony, right?
Okay, so, Keith.
I'm just getting to the point. I see you, Ty. I'm just messing with it. So what I'm getting at is, yes, remember what I said. You're supposed to acknowledge your accomplishments to do what? Not to just pat yourself on the back, to use it to push yourself forward. So when you say you're a great writer, based on what? Things you've written. So you were a great writer. You ain't written nothing recently. I got a book coming out at the end of the month.
Whatever.
I got another one coming out later on the year.
Can you repeat that, Kate, about acknowledging your accomplishments for what you say?
Yes, your accomplishments, you're supposed to acknowledge them to allow them to push you forward. Acknowledge your accomplishments so they push you forward. Because if you acknowledge them, but you've done nothing, then it is what you have done and it is in the past. So as Janet Jackson said, what have you done for me lately?
Okay. Well, really quick,
one second, Tony, because I don't want to jump Ty, because I know Ty had his hand up. So, actually, go ahead, Tony, because you in the mode, and then Ty, we're going to go ladies first.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, darling. Go ahead.
Okay. So, I have a problem with internalizing things, right? Because I did production. It'd be a year on the 26th of January. Mm-hmm. I spent money and I did things and didn't know what to do and had bad representation and paid people to act in my play and all this stuff that happened. Mm-hmm. And so I pushed back, y'all, because the play was almost a sellout. Mm-hmm. But then people was had their opinions about things that could have been better. And I know that's going to happen even when people read books and things like that, right? But it pushed me back. And so I have a problem with internalizing, trying to get out to speak and things like that, like I said earlier, because I don't want people to feel, I say, well, if they didn't, I hear so many people saying the play was good, but then said it could have been better. And then all the feeds is coming back from my timeline from last year and the people that was in it, nobody's saying anything. So it's normally when people done something or had accomplishments or anything like that, they would kind of put it back on their timeline. And I think I worry about that too much, that, why have nobody said anything? Did I do wrong? And so I don't want to get out there and start speaking because I don't want to feel as if people don't believe in me, because I had so much things happen to me in my life to where, and people told me that I would never be anything, to where I'm like, maybe I should just be quiet.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Every time you go into McDonald's, right? Have the fries always been popping? Huh?
If I ask for them to be hot.
Oh, if you ask for them. So I'm talking about when you haven't asked. Have you ever gotten a bag and be like, what the?
Yeah.
Did you stop going to McDonald's?
No.
Why?
Because I like their fries.
I'm sorry.
Because I like their fries, but I don't eat their fries no more. But when I didn't stop, I still don't stop going to McDonald's.
That's fine. I know you don't eat meat and stuff but here's the point I'm getting at. You didn't stop it because you had the bad experience.
Right.
Because now I asked for it. You pulled the trigger on a play where most people are scared to even write one. Okay, if you said it was filled, right? Mm-hmm. So you accomplished your goal of getting everybody in the seats, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. How many arguments have you heard where people said Beyonce ain't crap?
Yeah. Okay.
But they're the same ones crying and running to the car when she show up.
Mm-hmm.
It don't make a difference what you create in this world. Somebody's going to hate it. The real question to this whole scenario was, were you okay with it? And from the feedback, was it honest feedback in terms of when it was given to you? Did you go, okay, yeah, that's something I could have did. That don't mean that I'm going to. Whose name was on the marquee?
Mine's.
Who created it?
I did.
Who took the chance?
I did.
Why the hell do what they say matter until the seat until it's empty?
Mm-hmm.
When you put it out there and it's empty, that's when they're telling you they don't care about what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have people who will sit front row, stand up, applaud, leave and go, this was crap. I ain't like it. Doesn't matter. If they were there, you got what you wanted. When I sell a person a book, I don't care what they do with it after I sell it to them. I don't care if they don't like it. I don't worry about reviews. You know why? I had a woman tear me down about Gigolo the G. This was the worst piece of, who wrote this shit? He need to be ashamed of himself. Was he even delivered from the Lord? The same week, I had a white woman. There was a white woman that tore me up to do that. I had a white woman from Seattle say, me and my husband read the book again because we believe that this is going to help save our marriage. Which one was right? Which one was wrong? You know what? They both were right. Why? Because they both paid for it. So am I worried about it?
Didn't give us the spirit of fear. God doesn't give us a spirit of fear.
He doesn't. We accept it and we take it in. But when I'm getting to it, the book says I'm not worried about what either one of them thought, because the one that didn't like it, didn't like it. Her fries was lukewarm for her that day. The one that liked it, her fries was piping hot and said, I got my husband to join in on the fries. That's what I'm talking about. And she wrote a review, just like the other chick wrote a negative review. But if you go and ask most people, they like the book. So I can't worry about what you do once I give it to you. You can go wipe your butt with it if you want. That's on you. Try to use the page that got me, whatever. So that's what I'm getting there. That's what I'm telling you. Imposter syndrome sets in when you allow it to take over. You are in control of you. So Ty, I'm sorry to take your time, brother. Go ahead.
That's okay. It's just that what I was about to say. The McDonald's analogy, I was about to use it in a different way.
Okay. Go ahead, Dave. Go right
actually,
ahead,
that fear bothered me a lot growing up until I read Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
I have on my interview, yes.
He was talking about McDonald's burgers. They're not the best burgers, but they sell billions and billions. And I said to myself, wow, he's trying to say tap into your potential. So I just took it and run with it, and I changed my whole inside of how I overcome fear and remove the obstacles to become a better person.
Oh no, exactly. And I see you because Ty get on his page and go, I don't care. Ty literally will come on and say, I don't care what. And Ty is would be called arrogant in some people's eyes. He come on and be like, this is me doing me. F you, you're watching me. I'm doing me. Now he don't say it like that, but he's like, hey y'all, I'm here eating again. Hey y'all, it's the weekend. I'm partying. Hey y'all, I'm cooking. It's on you. And then he tells you at the beginning, you're checking out T to the Y. What? You must add the Jones to it. And he puts his thing on it. And then it's like, you do with it what you want. I tell folks all the time, you can hate the man that I was. Yeah, I had a bunch of babies with a bunch of women, but I had one child with one woman in the last 20 years. So which person you want to dislike? I don't care either way, because it's not going to change what I do. My biggest problem and my biggest fight is with myself. So I'm not about to let somebody else get in the way. And that's what stopped me. Hiring a coach for me was big, because my arrogance was like, I'll go find it myself. And one of the first things I told my coach is, I'm going to sit on the passenger side of this car and fight with myself not to jump over there and take the wheel and drive. And my coach was like, I got you. And by sitting there quiet, by the time I got to the end of the cohort, you can see the difference in just my setup in the office. Just as I'm sitting here now, and I have my own shirt on, my own logo. I have my hat with my own logo on. Okay, that don't count. Okay, fine. I'll put my other hat on that got my logo on it. Why? Because my head is funny. And I got my own logo on it, and I got my colors on it. And you know what? Because I had to learn That just like McDonald's, when you see that B, you're going to know that represents me. When you see this B, you know it represents me. So it's Belvin Publishing, Belvin Consulting. That's 2 of the 3 businesses that I'm going to create. The third one, I already have the logo for and already have it, Belvin Media. And I already have the logo for it. And I put it in place 4 years ago. So yes, you can go to the Belvin Publishing website, you can brave it the Belvin Consulting website. And I created it myself. Now, it goes like this. It's a hobby. Then you're a solopreneur because you got to do it by yourself. Then you become an entrepreneur because you've added people to your team. Then you become CEO where now you sit back because of what you created and other people get it done for you. And all you do is pop in and go, hey, how we do that? Get that right or I'll fire you. Okay, I'm going back home. Kanye does not create beats anymore. He shows up. What do y'all have? I like that. That one sucks. I like that one too. Who hired you? All right, thank you. Give me that. New Kanye beats, y'all. Because his name is on the company. Even one. Y'all know who James Patterson is, right? The great James Patterson, the author. 40 million copies sold of his work. 28 authors he has on his team. He doesn't even write his own books anymore. He taught 28 people how he likes to see things written. They write them, he pops up and goes, change that ending, change that beginning, change that middle, slap my name on it. I'm going to go get a check. Because that's where he's at. Most people don't pay attention to that. Because his talent put him in that position. What holds most of us back is us. Fear of what we can become because of what we think we are because of what we've already seen. 3-dimensional thinking. What I was, who I am, and who I will be. Most of us get caught in the 2. What I was and where I am right now. So we lack vision. So number 1, the perfectionist. Number 2, the superwoman or superman. Since people who experience this phenomenon are convinced that they're phonies among real deal colleagues, they often push themselves to work harder and harder to measure up. But this is just a false cover up for insecurities, and the work overload may harm not only their mental health, but also their relationship with others. Not sure if this applies to you. Do you stay late at the office than rest of the team, even past the point you've completed the day's necessary work? Do you get stressed when you're not working and find downtime completely wasteful? Have you let your hobbies and passions fall by the wayside, sacrificed to work? Do you feel like you haven't truly earned your title despite numerous degrees and achievements? Do you feel pressed to work hard and longer than those around you to prove your worth? Now, please understand this. You could actually be multiple of these because depending on the situation, you take on different variants of the imposter syndrome. So if you sit here and go, well, damn, Keith, I'm a part of 1 and part of 2. Tiff.
I knew you were going there.
I'm
married
to you. Honey, what time are you coming home? I don't know. Honey, me and the baby is, I'll be home soon. Soon turn into an hour later. Baby, where you at? I'm around the corner. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. You're on the road, but you ain't around the corner. And why? Because you got to get this done. Because you don't understand how much work. You just don't understand, Keith, what I'm dealing with. You don't understand. It's just ridiculous what they're trying to make me do. And I'm like, so I done became retarded now that I don't understand. But I dealt with principals trying to take my license from me. Telling me to my face, I'm going to make sure you don't ever teach again. Bring it. Bring it. Come on, get it. Come on and see if you can take away my credential. See how that worked. And what happened? My last year teaching in 2016, I had an epiphany. Damn, all 5 of those principals that came at me ain't no longer in the system. How'd that work? See how my God worked? I ain't had to do nothing but show up to work. Come on at me. I got kids crying, Mr. B, please don't leave. Mr. B, you really leaving? Come on, we want you to stay. Principal's going, you got a job here if you just want to stay. But yet you came after my license for being what? Me? For being good to kids? For being a great professional at what I do in the classroom? No, I'm not going to give you that. And I'm not going to be scared of you. And I don't care. So yes, Tiff, I stay on you because I tell you all the time, I see your greatness. You have to see it, because I can't make somebody else great. Never have. And the crazy part is all of us have had people around us who have seen greatness in us, but we don't hear them because of the pains of the negativity that we surround ourselves with. See, imposter syndrome is loud in a quiet way. And you say, well, isn't that oxymoronish? Yes, because the only person who can hear it is you. See, other people come by your desk and go, oh my God, girl, look how good your desk is. Other people come by your office time. Hey, Mr. Jones, yo, you got it going on in here. Michelle, you got women who's like, thank you for saving my life. Tony, you got, oh my God, thank you for saving my life. Oh my God, what would I do if you didn't come into this prison to work with me? And then you get off the job and you feel like a failure. You get in your car and you go, am I making a difference? You go to church and you praying harder and crying harder than anybody else. And they go, my God, she loved the Lord. No, she's scared to death. So the idea is, how do we get past that? One, we got to start digging into who we really are, grabbing that and going, God don't make, you can't say God don't make mistakes and then feel nervous about being who God created you to be. It don't go hand in hand. You can't say I'm a child of God, but I'm scared to death. So whose child are you? Because that ain't what the Bible says. And even if you don't believe in the Bible, how are you going to stand up and say, support what I do, but you terrified to be you? So why would you invite anybody into you? Why would you want somebody to give you their money? Pay you for what? Buy your book, why? You don't even want to talk about it. I ain't seen no interviews that you did, but buy my book though. For what? Why should I? Like, know, trust. You want people to like you? I'm sorry, know, like, trust. They need to know you, to like you, to trust you. How do they know you? Because you put yourself out there. When you put yourself out there, they grow to like you. When they grow to like you, they trust you, they buy from you. They say it takes 7 views, 7 times for somebody to see something before they purchase. But if you're not out there, or you threw it out there once, nobody liked my post. So put it up there again. Put it up there a 3rd time. Put it up there 5th, 6th, 7th. Put it up there every day. Girl, why you keep putting this post up? I got one. I got one. Yeah, now let me tell you why I did it. What? Yep. Congratulations. You get my book for free. I don't understand. I was having a contest that the first person who liked my post, I got him. What do you think that person tells their friend? My crazy friend from Delaware just gave me a book. But if the book is hitting, here's all I need you to do. Could you write a review for me? Closed mouth doesn't get fed. So if I asked you, call of action, COA. When I give you something, I want something. So I'm going to give you value. I'm going to service you. I'm going to give 3 times as much as I want back. You know why that works? Because often what you're given doesn't cost you what you actually need back. But the person receiving it goes, my God, Ty is always there for me. Michelle always gives of herself. Tiff never tells me no. Tony is always there. I'll buy your book. Hell, I'll buy 5 of your books because I'm going to give them out to my family, even if I don't read it, just because I like what you do. I like what you say. There are going to be people who are going to send you cards that you didn't even know was paying attention to what you do and say, but they cannot do any of that if you're trapped inside your own head. If you're trapped inside a bubble that you created. How are they supposed to know? You brought up McDonald's, Ty, and I'm glad that you did. Let me tell you what McDonald's did. 1,000 served, 10,000 served, 1 million served, 10 million served. They done sold so many damn burgers, you go out there and just say billions. They ain't here, stop putting numbers. And they stuck to their arches. Now, if you go look at some of their previous logos, you wouldn't even think they was McDonald's. Little dudes running around with an M on their chest, Super Mc whatever. You don't even see McDonald's anymore. We damn sure don't see Grimace, whatever the fry people were, the little fries that bounced around like puppets. We don't see the Hamburglar. We don't see all that. But in the 70s, yeah, you did. But then McDonald's realized we don't need them to sell this foolishness. Ha! Away with you. Let's just put toys in the Happy Meals. And we'll get their kids to drive them here. So like Hitler, and I hate to compare McDonald's to Hitler, but what did Hitler say? If I have their children, I don't have to worry about their parents. That's why he created his SS, his junior SS. Give them a uniform, give them something to do. They will tell on their parents for us. And did they? Yes, they did. Children turned in their parents. So let's bring that back to McDonald's. Create the Happy Meals from any poppin' movie that's going before it even come out. Kids will drive you crazy for a Happy Meal. And you know what parents learn? If you shut up, I'll take you to McDonald's. For a burger we know is no good, for chicken that we wasn't chicken up until about 3 years ago. Now, white meat chicken. The hell was it before? Come on now. When a commercial comes out and goes, now white meat, breast meat. What part of the chicken was y'all using? But again, we know that now. But you know what? For those 4 nuggets, a couple apples that we don't know even where the apples come from, an apple juice, and some fries, your kid will sit there and sit quietly in a colorful box. Here, you get your own individual box. I ain't even got to cook dinner now. And all that trash is eaten in 3 minutes. And 20 minutes later, they bouncing around the house from all the sugar that you gave and they still hungry. McDonald's don't care. You know why? They got you. Remember, 2 kids tried to sue McDonald's and said, y'all made us fat. They said, no, you didn't. Your mouth did. Lost. Dude, Brian C. I forget what his name is, did the Super Size Me, who showed you that for eating McDonald's 30 days in a row, didn't eat nothing else but McDonald's, his body started to die. He had renal failure. He was suffering from kidney failure from only eating McDonald's. Did it stop sales? Not at all. His doctor was begging him, please stop. You're killing yourself, man. Did a documentary on it. Did it stop McDonald's from making any money? Not at all. Then he took a McDonald's burger, put it under a Petri dish, took the fries, put them under a Petri dish, and bought a bunch of burgers from different places. The burger he got from the deli started to mold. The burger he got from somewhere else that was handmade started to mold. The McDonald's hamburger never changed shape. It didn't mold. It didn't create no environment, no fungus, no nothing. And the fries looked like he had just bought them. And the point at the end of the documentary was to go, what the hell are they serving? That food that was made by hand and sold to eat started to create ecosystems inside the jar. He said, my God, I'm scared. If I was to open that up and smell it, I don't know what that would look like. But the McDonald's hamburger and the fries looked exactly like he did. And that was 30-something days later or 90 days later. Go watch Super Size Me. If you want, just fast forward to the end. But if you watch Super Size Me, he literally said, and he said, anywhere that I go, if they ask me to supersize it, I'll say yes. Because that was part of the condition. If they say, do you want to supersize it? Yes. His doctor actually begged him to stop. He said, you might suffer renal failure, which means your kidneys might shut down. He literally was dying just from eating McDonald's food. And it still didn't change people from buying it. Very important. Number 3, the natural genius. And I suffer from this. Go ahead, Michelle. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying that I saw a report where a woman had had McDonald's burger and fries in a bag from 2 years ago.
Yeah, and it hasn't changed.
And it almost looked like she had just bought it.
No,
over 2 years.
Yeah, hasn't changed. There's actually a lot of places that actually have them as studies. They want to see how long before, and actually when they've noticed that insects and other critters that eat decomposed food don't touch it. So when the roaches don't eat it. Now, I lived in Brooklyn. I've been in some apartments where certain things fall out your mouth. The roach is coming out like O.J. Simpson. Give me that. What the? And then take off. As soon as the food hit the floor, I've seen some roaches come out of nowhere and grab it and scurry. I've seen mice. I have been in some apartments where you could be eating and your food hit the floor and the mouse is on it before you go to pick. Too late, bro. You should have let it hit the floor and they gone. You drive a McDonald's fry down, they throw it back at you. Say, what you doing, man? Get your ass out of here. So the idea is there's something to that. But again, let's be real. It tastes great. What's my man? The dude who does the weightlifting. He said, you know why he had a heart attack? He said, you drive up to that drive-thru, they give you that pipe hopping SHIT. He said, you sit around, pull your car over and eat this stuff until your heart pop. He said, and you do it to yourself and you come back and you order again because they make it that way. He said, that's what caused me to have a heart attack. And here I was in great shape. And he said, because he ate at McDonald's all the time. It's just something to it. But number 3, the natural genius. Young says people with competency type belief, with competency type believe that they need to be natural geniuses. And such, they judge their competence based on ease and speed as opposed to their efforts. In other words, if they take a long time to master something, they feel shame. This type of imposter sets the internal bar impossibly high, just like perfectionists, but natural geniuses types don't just judge themselves based on ridiculous expectations. They also judge themselves based on getting things right on the first try. When they are unable to master something quickly or fluently, they sound an alarm. Now, not sure if this applies to you. Are you used to excelling without much effort? Do you have a track record of getting straight A's? Were you told frequently as a child you were the smartest one in your family or peer group? Do you dislike the idea of having a mentor because you can handle things on your own? When you have faced with a setback, does your confidence tumble because not performing well provokes you to feelings of shame? Do you often challenge yourself because it's uncomfortable to try something you're not great at? Now, here's what I want you to understand. We are all 5 of these at different times, depending on what happens. And I want you to really pay attention to that, and I really want you to lock that in. I don't want you stuck trying to figure out, well, which one am I? At times, we are all of these because it all depends on the situation. It all depends on what we're dealing with at that time. But the fact that they have a label on it should tell you something. Number 4, the soloist. Sufferers who feel as though that asking for help reveals their phoniness are what the young call soloists. It's okay to be independent, but not to the extent that you refuse assistance so that you can prove your worth. Not sure this applies to you. Do you firmly believe that you need to accomplish things on your own? I don't need anyone's help. Does that sound like you? Do you frame requests in terms of requirements of a project rather than needs as a person? And again, I think all of us have tried to be that because if I do it, just let me do it. Tiff, and I'm admitting I do that too, but my wife will say, Keith, just let me do it. Honey, but then on the other side, I am the same way. Tiff will be like, I got this. And Tiff will go, and then when I screw it up, baby, need your help, baby. Now I'm gonna give you an example. My first 2 classes in grad school, the second time. My first time in grad school, I had a 4.0. All A's. You couldn't tell me nothing. Why? It was in education. So I'm doing grad school in education and I'm teaching. So the language was the same. It was easy. I'm not going to lie. It was easy. Tiff, I don't even think I had Tiff do that many papers for me. No, you didn't do that many papers the first time.
Wait, your first go round?
Yeah.
Oh, let's tell the story correctly.
No, you did the papers. Oh, you did yeah.
Your first master's degree?
No, I'm talking about we didn't have the papers that we have for the second one. You did the work. You did the stuff that I sent you, but it was nothing compared to how bad it was because I didn't even know the APA format the second time. We didn't have to do that the first time.
No, yeah, we did have to do APA. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, so good.
You're getting older, honey, so yeah. You don't remember the way it actually happened. So let's tell the story. Let's tell the story correctly.
Yes. Every paper that I've ever written, Tiff has straightened out for me because, oh, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I wrote a paper. I do right. No, let me
wait,
tell the story.
wait.
Right.
I gotta tell the story. So Keith and I had just started dating, and he had just started grad school.
Oh, we were together for 3 years. We started dating in 2000. I started grad school in 03.
Grad school.
I started grad school in 03. We started dating in 2000.
Really?
Yes, September of 03.
Grad school. Well, anyway.
I need to pull my degree out off the wall and show you. I started grad school in 03. I graduated in 05.
Will you let me tell the story?
We'll get the dates right.
When Keith started grad school,
thank you.
He turned in his first couple of papers, and his
first
professor
first one
wrote back to him and let him know that he needed to get some assistance because his writing was not on a level that it needed to be for him to be successful. So
that's the easy version. That's the light version.
And the funny thing is, my mom was in grad school at the same time, and they both were in grad school for education. So I would help my mom with her stuff. So I said to him, well, send me what you sent your professor and let me look over it. So I looked over it. And when I was done, I said to him, don't he ever turn in another assignment without me looking at it?
Yeah, Tiff said, don't you know, that's not what you said. Tiff said, did you send this to your professor? I said, yeah. She was like, what the hell? She said, wait a minute. She said, you didn't submit this, right? She said, this is not the actual, this is the paper for next week, right? I said, no, this is the one I sent. She said, you didn't send this in. I said, yes. Why? She said, Keith, this is horrible. This is trash. And I was like, and then when I read to her what the professor said, the professor was like, this is nowhere near graduate level writing, and I would suggest that you get some help if you plan on staying in grad school. I was like, ugh. I was like, oh man. And so Tiff jumped in and she took it from there. And every paper that I had written after that point was an A. First of all, Tiff jumped in early enough in that first class that I still got an A in that class. I got an A in every class, and my GPA with my first master's degree was 4.0. Okay, Sir Arrogant here. When I started grad school 11 years later in 2016, my first two classes, because I was taking two classes because, again, I was arrogant and I killed it the first time. I could take two classes.
You hear him? He killed it the first time.
My name is on the degree, thank you. No, but yes, it was because of my wife. My two classes, I got 2 C's, and Tiff was trying to explain to me the APA format. I wasn't trying to hear it. I wasn't trying to listen. And again, like the genius, I was like, I got this. Come on, Sarah. When I got the 2 C's, they were like, a 3rd C and you up out of here. You on academic probation. And I was taking hits all over the place. And I struggled trying to get it. And again, refusing to listen, trying to tell Tiff how to be the professional that she was, because I was arrogant, back to your point, Ty, as the person who's arrogant. Yes, the person who's arrogant can hold on to that arrogance because it becomes a way for them to protect their position so they're not exposed as an imposter. And that's very important, because humbling oneself means that you accept your weakness and you allow somebody to help fix you. Most people don't want to be fixed because it makes them feel weak. So they embrace their pain like a coat, and they do not want you to take that coat off and see what's on under it. So once I let Tiff do what she do, because I was worried about failing and I could not fail. And again, I was never scared of failing. It was the success that I had struggled with, because it was levels that I should have been at. And even now, people will look at my life and think I'm successful. I feel I'm a failure. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have positive accomplishments. That don't mean that I haven't done good things. And I have to remind myself of that. But I'm unhappy with the fact that at 53, I know what I could have been. But I don't focus on it, because if I do, then I'll fall right back into behaviors that stop me from moving forward. So what I do is I accept who I am now, be frustrated with it, but use the frustration as positive energy to move forward to get things done. Do I struggle at times? Yes. So I had to turn that TV off, because if I turn it on, I'm going to watch it. I had to hire a coach. I also had to start to look at the people around me for who they really were, not for who I thought they were. Are you siphoning off from me because of my talents? And I'm saying it's okay because we're friends. Are you using me because of what I can do, but you're not actually feeding me? And the minute that you have downtime in your life, the minute that things don't go right, the minute that you put the call out, hey, I got to GoFundMe, or yo, my house burnt down, can I get some? I don't know you, nigga. Well, you know why? Because it wasn't what you thought it was to begin with. And it's not their fault. You brought them in. Like in every drug dealer movie we've ever seen, you know why the spy gets close to the big boss? Because it's what they thought he brought to the table. Because sometimes you wonder, well, damn, how'd you work your way up the ladder? Damn, nobody knew that you was a cop? No, because everybody kept thinking of what he could do or what they believed he was. Until it's surprise. Everybody go to jail. But in Deep Cover, what did my man Lawrence Fishburne say? All this time, I'm a cop playing drug dealer. I ain't nothing but a damn drug dealer playing cop. Well, I ain't playing no more. that's I ain't playing no more. Because he realized this whole time I've been faking evil to try to be good, but yet I'm doing all the things that evil people do, and I'm good at it.
That's my favorite movie.
Oh, without question, because the acting is incredible, because Fishburne and Goldblum are incredible because it's talent. They played two characters that's outside their norm, but they gave you insight to the mindset of what that looks like. And if you really peep David, that was his character's name, Goldblum, when he said, man, come on, ain't no white, no black. There's just rich people and poor people. We're rich. F that dude who I shot. Let's go. And then Fishburne has morals at the end. David, and then he calls the police and then shoots him. But if and he still walks away rich. Goldblum just catches the bullet. We forget that he had a wife and child at home. So now there's a wife and child out there with no paper. And he was the lawyer. So you gotta pay attention to all of it. So number 4 was the soloist, guys. The last one, the expert. Experts measure their competence on what? Oh, this thing is in the middle. Okay. This thing is in my way. Experts measure their competence based on what and how, believing they will never know enough. Okay, and they have fear of not knowing. I actually can't get to this. I got a piece here when I printed, I can't see the whole thing. So I'm going to read to you if these are the ones that stand up, if the expert. Do you shy away from applying for job positions unless you meet every single educational requirement? I see you shaking your head. You better shake your head, Tiff. Are you constantly speaking out? Are you actually seeking out trainings and certifications because you think you need them to improve your skills in order to succeed? Even if you've been in your role for some time, can you relate to feelings like you still don't know enough? Do you shudder when someone says you're an expert? So those are the 5 areas. Let me just go back over them again. The perfectionist, number 1. The Superman or Superwoman. The natural genius. The natural genius, the soloist, and the expert. But I think, as I just said to you, I think we're all of them at different times. And all you guys that are listening in the group, I just popped in. Hello to all of you. Hey, Kim. Hey, Kira. Hey, Andrew. Good to have all of you. Tisha, how you doing? Good to have all of you here. Again, I can't get into all of your comments when I'm doing things here. But what I want to leave you with is, and I always use humor, and what I found is that humor and faith. I find humor in everything, even when it's inappropriate. That's just me. Because it is a way, believe it or not, when you're laughing, the body gives off chemicals. And those chemicals cause the body to relax. And the reason why you should always find time to laugh is because when those chemicals, that dopamine is released, it causes the body to settle down a little bit and you can think a little bit clearer. Often when we're tense, the imposter syndrome elevates. Often when we're nervous, the imposter syndrome elevates. And fear goes without question. Fear, and I want to give you one movie, and I'm a big movie junkie, and I use it all the time in school because it's how I always capture the attention of children, but I also use it for adults. What is that, the Will Smith movie with Planet Earth? What was the name of that? Anybody remember what the name of that movie was?
I think it's I Am Legend.
No, not I Am Legend, the one where he was on the spaceships. Something with the planet Earth. I'm gonna have to look it up.
With his son?
Yes, with his son.
Oh, I can't remember the name.
After Earth or something like that?
I can't remember. I think it was After Earth.
Okay, so I think it was After Earth, and I'm gonna tell you why. And again, I think the movie was incredible for this reason, is that in the movie, the creature, I believe it was After Earth. I just want to make sure. Yeah, After Earth. In the movie, the creature that destroys the soldiers is blind. It cannot see. It senses the pheromones given off by fear. So that the creature tracks you based on how you fear. And then when it kills you, it takes your body and puts it up on stakes in trees and other places to create fear in other people so it can track you. So when Will Smith is trying to explain that when you can control your fear to such a degree, it's called ghosting, where now you can literally walk right up to him and kill him because you've controlled your fear. So when he's trying to tell his son, the danger is real, but fear is just something made up in your head on things that have not happened yet. And he was explaining to his son how he got to this point to being able to ghost. He said when he came in contact with one of these creatures, the pincher was stuck into his arm and he was underwater. He said to himself, I don't want to die today. And he said, I pulled the pincher out and I settled myself down. He said, and then at that moment, I realized I became invisible to the creature. So he found his strength the minute that he tackled his fear. So then from there, he goes on, Cypher Rage, I think was his name. He wound up becoming the greatest general that ever lived because everybody was like, yo, he's like the greatest thing ever. And they actually show you a clip when Katz is fighting, he's just walking straight through. And then he's got his weapon out and his son goes through the whole movie trying to chase this image of who his father was. And it wasn't until the end of the movie that he realized exactly what his father was explaining to him. Because this creature killed his sister. This creature, because he was fearful, she put him in a glass thing so the creature couldn't smell his fear, but then killed her. And he was holding on to that. And as a therapist, I look for anything that's going to help me touch people in a way. But that's a fantastic when you look at therapy because he was holding on to the death of his sister, but so was Will. Because Jaden says to him, she called out for you, but you weren't there when she got killed. And here I'm trying to be a better son to you. I'm actually trying to be you. So it's the mother. Black women are so powerful. It is the mother that says, take him with you because he really wants to try to connect with you. But he didn't know how to connect with his own son because he was so used to being stoic. He was so used to being without emotion that he didn't know how to be. So when the plane crashes and his legs are crushed, you are going to have to save our lives. And literally trying to train him as he's running through and literally out of control at times. At one point, Will has to say, man, sit down. Stop, sit down. But at the end of the day, he still had to figure it out on his own. We're the same way. Many of us who are believers, God has already said what I will do for you. We read it, we repeat it, and we talk about it, praise about it. We don't live it. Those of us that are not religious look to other people to engage us, to teach us, to guide us. We elevate them to platforms and we try to be them and end up trying to recreate their path while never actually looking at our own. And the reason why is because we suffer from not being comfortable in who we are. And the reason why I know that, I have seen some very successful men who quietly come over to me to the side and say, I love what you and your wife have. You're a millionaire. Then I realized, you know why? Because you don't have this. Tiff and I have been places just joking and laughing where strangers will walk up to us and go, I've been watching y'all for a couple minutes. Whatever y'all doing over here, I just want to be involved because y'all look like y'all having a wonderful time. We have a wonderful time wherever we at. Because again, it's how we interact with each other. We've talked to other married couples who just can't understand, like, how do y'all stay, like, this got to be a facade. Y'all not like this in the house. We like this every damn day. I'm serious. The way you see Tiff and I right now on this, we're like this every day. Tiff dropped, what was that, flour? What was that you dropped on your pinky toe? The mayonnaise jar.
The mayonnaise jar.
I said, oh, you hit that little stubby, wrinkly piggy toe of yours? And she was like, so I'm over here in pain, you laughing at my pain? I said, yep. Yep, because when I fell and you came over and I was laying on the floor, she said, babe, I'm trying so hard not to laugh, but you look funny. I said, I could be over here dying, but you laughing at me? She's like, I know. You okay? No, I'm not okay, but you laughing at me? So I said, now I'm going to get you back. How your little rusty toe feel? That's what you get. And we like this every day. And the reason why is because there's no reason to be fake. And when we do that in public, people like, wow. That's why we hold Will and Jada up. That's why we hold Michelle and Barack up, and we want to be them. And then when all of a sudden we found out that Jada was out here on the semi-pedo tip.
Entanglement
with August. You out here humping. Now let's stop for a second. A 45-year-old woman.
She's 50.
50-year-old woman humped a 20-something-year-old boy who was her son's friend who was living in the crib. That gets most guys locked up. You humped your daughter's friend and you 50 and she 20 something and he was going through something? I bet you was too. Now let's be honest. In the movie that Jada was in, wasn't she the old chick who was like, I'm not sure that whatever? And then we learned about grapefruiting when she was in there with the old dude trying to get it in. So the art started to act like real life. So again, your son's friend who's going through something, staying in your crib because you going through something with Will, you hit him off. And then said, when we were going through what we were going through, that's when I had the entanglement. Then tried to make it real smooth. Like, that's when I had the entanglement. You mean when you got humped by your son's friend? And Will was sitting there trying to fake it off, and we could all see he was hurt. Whatever I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get you back. Now, we wasn't sure if it meant get you back in terms of relationship or get you back because I'm on television looking stupid. And either way, they set it up. You know why? Because instead of y'all having an opportunity to talk about it, us having an opportunity to talk about it, they took it to the red table quickly. And probably to date, they're probably the largest viewing audience on that, other than when Will Smith took over the red table and him and Aunt Viv put their beef together. And that was set up too, even though I love to see it was still set up. You know why? There's no way I could do a 30-year reunion without you, Aunt Viv. It took you 30 years to realize you did this woman dirty? And you gonna tell me that all of a sudden you wanna bury the hatchet as you have purchased the Fresh Prince and now y'all about to move into the reunion because you know you can't have the reunion without her, but you gonna think we are foolish enough to know that when Aunt Viv came on the set, Carlton left? There's no film with them together. They show Carlton there, and then when she comes on, he leaves. And what do we know? That she aced him when she was doing it. She was killing him, disrespecting him to all levels. So not everybody was forgiving, but you wanted to sell us the dream because it became the talk of the town, which helped promote the business. I get it. But again, watch what you're being shown. Now, what does all this have to do with imposter syndrome? I want each of us to challenge the areas that we're scared in, to challenge the things that we have fears at. What are you fearful of? What is it right now that you would like to do? And anybody watching this, you guys in the group too, what are you fearful of right now? What's the thing that you go, I want to try out for that, or I want to do that, or I want to model, or I want to stand up and preach, or I want to write a book. Whatever it is, what's stopping you? Now, let me give you some things before we jump off here. January 23rd, I am doing a webinar on how to create a book without typing. So if writing a book is something that you wanted to do without typing, you need to reach out to me. All right, just hit me in the group. Just write, I want the information on the webinar, and I'll hit you directly with it. It's $49.99. Okay, if you want to write a book without typing, so I'm taking away your excuse of I don't type that well, so I don't know if I could write a book. Okay, we're gonna take that away, and I'm gonna show you how 2 of my books that I've written without typing. And I'm gonna give you the information on how to do it. We're gonna talk about it and I'll answer whatever questions. And when done right, when the webinar is over, you'll be able to get started that same night if you choose to. January 23rd, 4 o'clock on a Saturday, $49, $49.99, $50. So for $50, you get to have me for 2 hours. That is so much cheaper than what I charge for a session. You should jump on that. Second, like I was joking with my wife, the anthology that I contributed to, I have contributed to 2 anthologies in 2020. They're both coming out in 2021. Well, now it's 2021, and the book is coming out at the end of the month. It's the No Test, No Testimony series, and the book is called In Times Like These, Looking Back at 2020. The authors were charged with finding positives that happened in 2020, and let's put them in a book, because when people are going to look back at this past year, they're going to look at all the negativity. Our job was to give positives so folks should read and go, wow. So some people really did okay during this year? Yes, they did. And that book drops at the end of the month, and I'm going to have my release date sometime in February, but the pre-orders are available now. Order it now. Why? Because I want you to. 2, because I think you're going to enjoy the book. 3, because I decided to write professionally again, and I think I did a damn good job. And 4, because I know that the authors put in their work to be able to point out some of the positives that happened during this past year. I know I had some positives. Now, I don't talk about it as much because I don't want to start singing my own praises when I know people are hurting. So I put it in book form so you can read it at your own leisure. That's at the end of the month, but the pre-orders are available. If you're interested in that, come on and hit the button and say, Keith, I need that information too. January 9th, there's a mental health expose happening. My brother Otis Bellinger from Detroit called me to come join him and a lot of other mental health professionals from the Michigan area. And it's going to be an all-day health fair from 10 o'clock, 9, I think, in the morning to 5 o'clock at night, where you're going to have doctors and everybody else on every part of Black mental, not just mental health, just Black health on all day. And I'm part of the mental health panel with my brother Otis Bellinger and a couple other professionals. And we're going to be dealing with questions dealing with Black mental health. 4 o'clock to 4:35 for about a good half an hour. But the whole thing is free and it's virtual. All you need is a notebook, a pen, jump on what you're doing right now and take all the notes of the things that you need to get some information, and all the doctors and everybody else will give you their information. Again, that's January 9th. If you're interested, put it in the chat. I'll make sure you get the information. February, I'm gonna jump forward just a little bit. February, Tiff and I are gonna drop our first webinar, Dealing with Cheating Before, During, and After. How to deal with cheating before, during, and after. You heard us tell our story, but now what we're going to sit down is give you some tangible things that you can do if you're cheated on before the relationship gets serious. What happens if you're cheated on while the relationship is serious? And what do you do after you done got cheated on, and how do you move forward to get past it? Why? Because Tiff has caught me cheating 3 times. I didn't say I cheated 3 times. I said she caught me 3 times. I cheated a lot more. And I say that, and you go, how the hell is he saying that and still gonna have somewhere to sleep? I'd be cut this throat. Yeah, you might be if you didn't know how to deal with it. We dealt with it. See, we're at the other end of how you deal with it. Some of you will not be here because when it first happened, you were supposed to cut that person loose because you weren't built for it. Well, how do you know? That's the reason why you come to the seminar. And again, it won't cost that much, $49.99. We're not going to sit here and try to rob you to be able to have a conversation. And then the biggest thing out of all of it, you guys know that I am a counselor. This is what I do for a living. There is no reason why you should be suffering in silence. Reach out, set up a call with me. The call is free. If you want to work with me, fine. If you don't, I'm not losing no sleep because I'm here for you when you're ready. And I will always tell you when you work with me, go pray. And then decide if you want to come work with me. The reason why is I don't want you feeling obligated because we had the free call. That's not what this is about. The free call is to see if I can help you and if I'm the person for you. If I don't think I'm the person for you, I'll tell you, I don't think I can deal with that. But at the end of the day, I'm here for you. And so Unapologetically Keith is going nowhere. If you're in the Bible study group, we got together today and we discussed that satanic commercial with the devil on Max dating 2020. And I just want to tell you, if you have not seen that sick commercial with Satan sitting on the throne and he brings out his phone and he's now matched with somebody and him in 2020 are going out on dates, all that's cute. But what I want you to do is in the first 11 seconds, listen, turn the volume way up and listen, or put on your headphones and listen. You hear people being tormented. You hear people calling out in pain while the devil is sitting there bored. Stop and ask yourself this question. What are you trying to tell me? Are you acknowledging that it's real? Are you thinking that's funny? Because the rest of the commercial I get, the whole idea of the devil, like 2020 was so screwed up that the only thing that would date it would be the devil. I got all of that. But what do we know about subliminal messaging? What do we know about promotional stuff and things that are put in place to shock the eyes and the ears? Why did they add people being tormented? For effect, possibly, but the effect of what? And at what cost? Now, whether you believe or not, it's the reason why I don't watch a lot of these horror movies. You want me okay with somebody being dismembered. You want me okay with people just getting mangled. Now, my wife was sitting right there, loves the horror genre, loves the zombie genre. I don't know how many times you can watch somebody eat somebody, but my wife loves it. She loves somebody's head getting sliced clean off, and I'm like, I'm out. I ain't watching this foolishness. But we're at different levels and different positions when it comes to faith. She can purge all that. I might not sleep for 3 weeks. That's just the way my brain works. But again, I'm not going to say you can't watch that in the house. You're going to watch it alone. And she'll even joke, you going to come to the movie? No. See, I'm going to call my boyfriend. Call him. Call him. She joke all the time. I'm going to call my boy. Call him. Because if I find him and you, y'all going to catch it in the movie theater. Slumped. But it is what it is. But either way, first 11 seconds. Watch that. You can go on YouTube. 11 seconds. Listen. Because to me, some things you don't play with. Movies I get. There's a whole genre, got it. But in the commercial, whatever. But either way, guys, here's the thing. This is what we do. I am building a private practice. My word for 2021 is patience. I have to be patient because I'm starting over. I just went to a coach last summer. So I can't jump out and act like I know it all. I got to put the things in place. I also am coming off a second career because I taught for 20 plus years. So to start over and have to be studying for an exam to get a license, I haven't had to do that since 1997. That's when I studied to get my license, but I was already teaching in 1994. But I was teaching under some program, but when you came to the Board of Ed, they allowed me to teach, but then it was like, bro, you got to get your license. Okay, I had to get my license. But that's what I'm doing now as a counselor. But I have my degrees. But now I have to be official so I can start my practice because I can't charge insurances without it. So I have plans that include all of you. So I'm going to give you more than I'm asking for, but I'm not scared to ask you for what I want. I tell you all the time, if you haven't read my books, why not? You hear me talk about From Gigolo to Jesus all the time, right there on the wall back there. That article that Tiff wrote right there in Ebony Magazine, she mentions From Gigolo to Jesus, but the title of the article is Love Should Not Hurt. You told me it. Let me see. Yeah, love doesn't hurt. In the Black Love article of February 2012, the Red Tails cover. And that Red Tails was an international cover, so we went international. We have folks buying books all over the world. And Tiff wrote that article. She needs to be punched in the head. So Tiff can say she wrote an article that went around the world. Has she written anything since? Anyway, so like I'm saying. But the idea is, at some point, I can't force her out of her shell. I tell her all the time. And I tell her all the time, she is the nuclear weapon to this whole thing. If Tiff ever decides, come on, Keith, I got you. Because if I can show you our house, well, not right now. If I showed you our house now, you think we were squatters and we broke in and we're just living here on the low. But if I can show you the things that Tiff has created, she shows you on her page. Her DIY skills, do it yourself, are incredible. She will watch a video. She put together a credenza. Is that a credenza? What is that in there? What kind of table?
Sideboard.
Side what?
Sideboard.
Sideboard. She did the Christmas stuff. She's did all the stuff in there. She did the garden out front, which she won one of those little blue ribbons where they were like, she had the best house in the community. You couldn't tell her nothing. She's like, that's right. I came down here from the city and got these country folks jocking me. I'm like, all right, whatever. Listen, I ain't doing it. Whatever. But she did all of that. She created these gigantic snowflakes out of coat hangers. I'm wondering, what are you doing with all these damn coat hangers? She spray painted and then when she was done, put lights on them and everything. But that's her skill. But again, remember I said to you earlier, hobby. You go from hobby to solopreneur, where it's just you. Entrepreneur, when you add people to the team, CEO when you sit back and it runs because you created it. All of us can't get to the CEO stage if as a hobby, we don't want to take those daring steps forward, Tony. You created a play. Whether it's successful or not, the real question is, what was your bottom line? How much money were you trying to make? How many seats were you trying to fill? And if you filled them, you were successful. Now, can anything be tweaked? Yes. Can anything be better? Yes. Is it going to be Hamilton? Not right now, because you got to get to that level where people see you as Hamilton. But if you go back and look at the creator of Hamilton, look at his history, he had to overcome some ridiculous blocks to get to that point. To where now he sold Hamilton for, what was it, 50 million or 60 million, I think it was, Tiff, we looked at?
Yeah.
So a Puerto Rican who was told he was never going to be good enough, stayed with it as a teacher in New York City, created something that was sold for 50, 60 million that he acted in, which then now has opened up the door where they pretty much throw money at him to do whatever. And every actor and actress that was in Hamilton are now all different movies popping up and different things, because you're not going to be a part of something that before COVID was sold out for 2 years. And the best, and I'll leave y'all with this as we get ready to get off. Tyler Perry, and I remember this all the time. I'm not the biggest Tyler Perry fan, but I am a fan of how he does business. His plays and stuff like that, I've been to one. It's cute as a play. As a movie, this whole Medea thing I can't rock with, but it works for the, like he says, for the people he's selling it to, it works. But his story, if you've never seen it, go pay attention to it. He had a play where he sold all the tickets. He rented out a spot. He had basically spent every dollar that he had. His credit cards was maxed. He used everything that he had. I think the theater only held 1,500 or 2,000, 30 people. He said he was in the back. He peeked out. He said he was crushed. But a part of him said, I still got to go out and do this damn show, and then that's it. I'm done. So he went out there and did his thing. Well, in the audience was a person that saw it, Caucasian person, who said, yo, this is funny. We got to figure out a way to take this from this to whatever. And that person met with him and said, I have ideas that I think would work. Let's do this. Well, the rest is history. And he's worth $400-something million. And he has a studio now where everything is being filmed. Like while everything was going on COVID, he had all his people live on his studio so they could still film. So they lived there. That was their bubble. He had them all tested. So while everybody else is home starving, all the Tyler Perry stuff is original, new, and he just banging it out. Because he was able to get to the point where he owned everything, the lot, everything, and everybody got tested. So while the whole other world was out there trying to figure out, bring your whole family, everybody gonna live here, actors, everybody, let's go ahead and make this paper. So how much more money is he gonna be worth going into 2021? And it always goes back to him saying, I use my income tax, my credit cards, everything to make this happen. So Tony, the question is, what is it that you want for you? And the only thing that can stop you is you. Michelle, the same thing. You and I spoke today, you know what you have to do and what you want to start, and you just figure out what that's going to look like. Ty, I saw you put out that your new book is coming out. You should be promoting it. Folks, and here's the biggest thing, Ty, is with your book is, what problem does your book solve? And that's for all of you, because everybody's an author here except for Tiff. I'm very upset about that. But anyway, I love my wife. But here's the real question is, what book does your problem solve? What problem does your book solve? That's what you talk about. Forget buy my book. I can help you deal with being a whore. How, Keith? Well, I talk about it in my book, but let me explain it to you. Is that in the book? Yes. I ain't even had to mention the title. I can show you what that night looked like when I came face to face with God and my life changed in that hotel 200-something miles away from my wife, and me and God had a conversation. Oh my God, really? Yeah, it's in the book. Still ain't mentioned the title yet. Done right, when you can solve a problem, your book takes care of itself. You want people to buy your book, explain to them how it helps them. Explain to them what it fixes. Explain to them why you're the professional about what you're writing about. And you are the professional. Why? Because if one person gave you $1, you're good. You're a professional. And if one person gave you $1 for what you do, you can go find somebody else to give you another $1. The question is, are you willing to put the work in? That's what I push my wife at. So the conversation I'm having with you, Tiff has heard this, and I stay on it because, yes, Tiff is an outstanding writer. Better than me. She just don't have the gumption that I got. I'm glad because she started writing. I'll be like, she's not home again. She on tour. I hate her books. It'd be like loving basketball. I'll be there, look, there go mommy. And she coming out on this. I'm the has-been. But it's okay. Because you know what? That money come home to daddy, baby. But that's what it is. But that's what all of you got to challenge yourself. Imposter syndrome is real. Think about it. If Michelle Obama says it's something I suffer from, we've seen her grind. So it's real. The question is, what do we let it do once we know it? Once you've identified something, what are you going to do with it after you get off this call? What are you going to do with it tomorrow morning? Tomorrow is the second day of the year. It's actually, well, not yet, still January 1st. So tomorrow is the second day of the year. Forget those resolutions. I'm going to give y'all something else. 3 outcomes. Push for 3 outcomes a day. Not goals, not resolutions. Damn your to-do list. Throw it out the window. What 3 outcomes are you trying to do today? What 3 things that I need to bang out today that's going to push me in a direction that's positive? 3 outcomes a day. You get 3 outcomes a day, you're moving in a positive direction. Get excited, add some more to it, but just shoot for 3. If you have completed 3 outcomes each day, you have moved yourself into a much better position than you was the day before. The real question is, what are you shooting for? What is it that you want? Michelle, you and I talked about it, so we know. So let's go. And if you need help, reach out and get it. You need somebody, I'm here. And yes, I'll work with you. I have a sliding scale. Yes, I charge a lot, considered a lot. Actually, I'm finding out from some of the counseling groups I'm in, I ain't charging enough. And actually, the imposter syndrome in me is like, damn, y'all charge, I wouldn't pay y'all that. So that's how I base it. I base it on what I would pay. But if somebody gives them that, God bless them. Maybe I need to charge them more. Nah, not right now. I pay what I know people can afford, and I pay what I think it's worth right now. Now, that doesn't mean I won't scale it up and it be something different later. That's cool. Because to me, the help takes care of itself. Because if I do it right, when I raise it up, they'll go, cool, I got you because I love what you're doing. And I've already seen that. So as we get ready to fold up tonight, guys, I really pray as we start this new year off that this has helped. And you guys in the group, I pray this has helped because this is what Tiff and I do. But you're going to start seeing us move to put things in place in a professional way. And we hope that you guys continue to support it. This arena will always be free. This will always be a place that's open to whoever wants to be here. But we're going to look to move to smaller situations where those groups will be a fee. But it's because we're going to look to do some things more hands-on. We're going to look to really help and heal and teach in a way that we do what I do. This is our ministry. This is our church. And our church is based on real life, based on these streets, based on what people really need. And this is why me and church folks get into such fights. Because they sit around and go, that's not how God don't want you to act like that. You had a conversation when? When did you talk to him? Can you tell me what he looked like? What did he say to you? Because the Bible don't say you're doing all that talk. Might just be me. In Hebrews, it say God ain't doing all that talking. So when did all of a sudden you having these conversations? Because if you listen to church folks, they all talking to God. Everybody say, God told me yesterday. Really? So God just sitting around calling you. I don't believe it. Now, does he talk to some? Probably. Does he talk to all of us? Yes. But not the way that a lot of folks are so used to repeating it happens. Because if that was the case, then why the church so screwed up? Why some of the communities that these churches in so screwed up? Why are people struggling the way they struggling during this situation here of God doing all this talking to y'all? Will he stop caring? So again, I hope this helps everybody. And I want you guys to have a wonderful start of 2021. But do not get lulled into thinking that because it's 2021, everything has now come to a halt and there's not no pandemic and that people are not going to die at incredible rates. Protect yourself. Be smart. We are going to have a conversation possibly next week on this vaccine. I'm not sure because we are going to sit down and actually talk about, are you going to get it? Or if you have gotten it, do you plan on getting it? And what's your thoughts? Tiff has already said, nope. I have actually thought about it. I'm actually tempted to maybe go ahead, give me the gas, but I'm getting online where there's some folks that don't look like me. And I'm watching what bottle they get. No, bro. Don't give me the trick bottle. That ain't the box you got is.
And make sure the plunger depresses.
Yes, you ain't gonna hit me with the jerk needle. Did you just see where 28 people they gave the COVID antibodies instead of like they were taking a test and gave them the COVID antibodies, then said they have nothing to worry about?
Oh boy.
we just handing out COVID now. This is what we do. We giving people COVID. So just whatever it is, but we are going to have that conversation. And as always, anything that you want us to bring up, let Tiff and I know. We will gladly have this conversation. This came up. The young lady wasn't on tonight, but I'm hoping that she'll watch the replay. It was brought up by one of the group members. I don't like to expose people's names, so I'm going to keep it anonymous. But she did reach out and say, could you please talk about this because I suffer from it and it's really hurting me. And the crazy part is she's super successful. And I'm like, girl, she's like, Keith, I struggle. I got you. And we're going to work on that. And I'm like, listen, we got this. So I'm here if you need me. All right, let me go check on this 6-year-old. I hear her running back. And me and Tiff, y'all don't understand. When me and Tiff get off of here, we don't know what the house going to look like. I'll be like, yes, y'all go ahead with the show. I'm expecting to hear an explosion at some point. But anyway, have a good one, guys. A pleasure. You guys in the group, I will come in to check all the comments and everything else. But again, y'all should be in here. Let me hear your thoughts. So Ty, Tony, Michelle, baby doll, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for watching the Unapologetically Keith Show. I will see you next Wednesday. Enjoy. I'll throw the replay up on Monday and we'll be ready to go. Tiff will be back next Friday. Guys, have a wonderful start of the new year. Be something new, not just in talk. All right? Take it easy, guys. God bless.